Hello, everybody. I hope you've had a great time reading the case about Data Sutram. And now we have one of the co-founders of Data Sutram, Rajat, right over here to actually help understand the case of Data Sutram a little bit better and understand channel sales and strategies far, far better. So thank you so much, Rajat, for contributing to the inspiration of so many students who have recently read your case.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure always being here, talking to students, talking to you.
Great, lovely. So I want you to walk down a little bit in the memory lane and help share to all the students about how did you land your first set of customers? Was it difficult? Was it easy? And what kind of strategy, if I may say, did you use to get your first set of customers?
So I think your first customer is very important. And in business, they say customer is God, right? So getting that first customer is not only important from a business perspective, but from a validation of your product perspective. And remember, your first set of customers are going to be the people who are going to drive your product. So they not only need to be the people who understand and can pay you money, but more importantly, can understand the market and give you feedback that can really help your product. So for me, going from 0 to 1, that's what I call it, the phase of getting the first customer is very vital. And it's very important to understand that who should you target to make your first customer? Because hey, this is the time during which you as a founder need to work very closely with the client and understand that what do they really want and what are they saying that they want. Now, these two are very important differentiators. Now, when you're building a product and you're interacting with the customer, this is the time you get to really understand the market. And this is the time you need to work on directly with the customer. So your first 5-10 customers has to be direct sales. It has to be people you interact with, converse with, talk to on a regular basis, and take regular feedbacks and input from. For me, luckily, one of my first customers was some of the people who really taught me new use cases that could be achieved with my product. I went in with one use case to, one of the pharma chains that was one of my first customer, pharma retail chains. When we went and worked with them, I was pitching them how to open stores with our data on smart basis. And then COVID happened. There was no need to open stores after that because, the situation was status quo. So then the pharma company came back and told me that, hey, can you help me with distribution? Can you help me optimizing my resources on ground? Can you let me know where to put in what medicine? And as a result, automatically, 3 of my new product modules came out: demand sensing, optimization. So your first customer is really going to give you a huge perspective, and you need to work very closely with them, understand what they want, why they want it, why they need it. And it has to be a direct sales engagement, because more than money, I feel what's very important with your first customers is direction. And that's super important.
I love that. I love that answer, because the first set of customers, I think these are the guys who give you like a green card that, hey, you know what, you're approaching product market fit. These are the kind of use cases you would be able to develop. As Data Sutram started gradually evolving from the first set of customers towards getting a product market fit, towards all guns blazing sales team to start acquiring more and more clients, what kind of channels are you currently relying on getting sales? And amongst all the channels what you're currently relying on, is there any unconventional channel which has also possibly helped you crack a deal or get sales?
So for me, conventional, unconventionals are, it's very difficult to differentiate what is conventional and what is non-conventional in a world which is ever changing. So maybe you could elaborate a bit on that for me to answer. But largely, if I talk about my sales strategy and how we do the channel sales primarily, today, see, we are building a product that needs more than us. I mean, we can deliver 80%, but on top of that, you need services to be delivered. You need components to be delivered. So for us, we fit into a lot of aspects. For us, channel, and, for us as a technology first company, doing a direct sales team would need, every 100 customers would need 3 sales guys at least, right? Yeah. And that's not a way to scale up. For us, hence we took to channel. And what we did with channel is that, see, there's already let's say the first set of analytics companies who are already catering to the lot of these customers in our target sector and are delivering analytics service to them. So as a result, they have already developed the trust factor with the customers. They have already developed the relationship with the customer, have already catered to the customer. And we are coming in to give them more revenue from those customers. So as a result, the first set of companies we targeted with the analytics companies who are already working with the sectors that we are working with. The second segment was the consultancy companies. Today, a lot of the consultancy companies are becoming data companies, then strategy companies. They were previously doing strategy consulting, now they're doing data consulting. And as a result, why? Is because they really need market insights very well to do that strategy. And as a result, the second layer of companies we tied up with were the consultancy companies who were into strategy. And now what happened automatically is not only it's a scale of volume, it's also a scale across sector, it's also a scale across geography. MNC who is doing strategy in India is also doing a strategy in US and America, and let's say in Africa or in Australia. So when they understand from us that this is something applicable in India, they automatically refer that to their counterparts in different geographies, and that's also something that helps us in channel. The second aspect is also from the perspective that maybe that consultancy company is working across 10 sectors and we are working only in one sector, but they can see the application of the same product in these sectors and can then scale. So scale across geography, scale across sectors are a tremendous value that comes in from the consultancy players as well. The third channel that we have are the technology first companies who have applications built out onto that already for marketing, for acquisitions, and there we are data integration into that play. So these are some of the channels that we have developed in terms, in my opinion, they're pretty standard and straightforward in terms of going forward. And when it comes to unconventional strategies, I feel we are looking at some of the aspects like community building, right? A community of data scientists can also be an important channel in terms, right? And that's something that's coming up, experimentation. So all those are also there.
Got it. No, this is brilliant. I like all the three channels what you have developed, because these are the whisperers in the big MNCs, and the moment a great value proposition like data Sutram gets communicated, I think the sales becomes easier, that it becomes faster. I have an extended question to that, and it's about building these partnerships. Can you help the students understand that how do you manage building partnerships with these channel strategy guys? Does it become extremely straightforward that it based on referral, it's based on commission fees, or is there another dimension to it that what goes into building these partnerships with these channels?
Absolutely. I think, referrals are going to get you introductions, nothing
Mhm.
more than that. So referrals can get you on the table with the channel partners, and that's just like business, anything else. I feel what's really important, and this is coming from someone that, and I'll be very honest, I've had positive partnerships and negative partnerships. And I feel it's very important that in any partnership, it should be a mutual partnership. Remember that consultancy player or that channel partner you're onboarding.
Mhm.
Has to also benefit from you. I think that's what we sometimes forget. When
Mhm.
we go and approach a player or a channel partner, we always think from our perspective that how can we scale ourselves through them. That's fine. But remember, a solid partnership is where both the people are benefiting from each other. And as a result, for me, this single point of information that I stick to when I talk to a channel partner is that how much incremental business am I going to bring to this person? Because they see this person has to also survive the market and
Yeah.
has to survive the game. If I am going to give them A, innovation that makes them long lasting, B, business that fuels their growth, they will stick to me.
Got it. This brings me to the last question. And because Data Sutram as of 2021 is super innovative, the kind of data points you're collecting and the kind of insights you're generating, and then giving it over to the large multinationals to take much more informed decisions, it's super innovative. And the curse of being a very innovative company is that you have to be a market maker, where you have to first educate the audiences about the product what you're building, about the technology what you're building and benefiting. So can we agree that Data Sutram to a large extent is a market maker? And if yes, What kind of thoughts have you employed towards shifting Data Sutram from a market maker to a market getter, where people are approaching you for your services?
No, right. I think it's a vital journey. And the way when we started, the first question that people used to ask that, hey, and it's a question that we still get asked sometimes that, my life was fine before you came in, right? That why do I need you in my life? And that's the question any company who is wanting to become a market maker will face in the right place, right? So I think what's very important is case studies and achievements that you have done with your clients. Your first set of 10 customers, going back to my first point, are going to be the reason why others will come back to you. So again, I think anyone who is building a product that's a market maker, my recommendation is don't think of anything on sales. Just focus on your first 5 customers and build incredible stories that will change the perspective of the next. So the first point of information that you need to change from a market maker to market getter to appeal people to come is stories. And when I say stories, it needs very good referrals from probably the guys people have as an industry standard. One of the companies we worked with in financial services, who was our first customer, was one of the most reputed financial services company in India. And when their chairman themselves came out and gave us a referral that we could publish in a paper, automatically a lot of the financial services automatically came to us. So in fact, so what's first important is stories and referrals. That's A. B, what's very important is to highlight that what is the incremental value in replacing the process. I think when you are, and that's something that we did as a mistake also sometimes, that when we went and tried to pitch in our product, we were too focused on what we have as a product. But I think what's very important, especially, see, when you're building a product in a place where it previously existed, it's important for you to talk about your product more, because then people know the application and everything, and they just need to know the features. But when you're building a product that does not have a similar kind of a product in the market and it's a market maker, sometimes harping too much on the product gets a client and a business and the other side too confused that do I really need it? The perspective here is to play the other way around and say that what is the differentiation? For example, for us, decision making was intuition and guts driven. And we are saying that, hey, this is, you can see the result of what you're building and what you're making. Imagine you're taking a decision knowing what's the impact of it going to be 6 months down the line. That's the difference that you bring to the table. And then you can talk about the 1,000 data points and how you collect it. But what's important is the impact and the value you show. And so my second point is that the ROI essence of it has to be clearly demonstrated, and you should know at the back of your hand that this is the ROI. And you should only harp on that ROI. The third point of information, I think it's very important, and this is in the journey of a customer. The first set of people are the innovators and the early adopters, and then come the laggards or the late majority in terms of the companies who will come in next. For them, brand is also a very important factor. Creating a FOMO effect is, when I say FOMO, it's feeling out or missing out, the feeling of missing out, right? Effect, and creating that FOMO effect by positioning a brand that, hey, I should also be associated. Some of the top guys are, and without that brand, I'm missing out. Imagine that at one point you all needed antiviruses, right? Irrespective of if at all a virus would come or not, it was important to have antiviruses in place, right? And I think it's that brand you need to create, that, hey, this is, without me, it's not enough. And I think that's an essential creation which can actually drive companies to come in. The fourth point, I think, is something that I recently picked up. And this was taught to me by someone stalwart in the industry and marketing front, is that if you really need to create a pull effect in the market, you need to talk about things about tomorrow. By talking about things of today, you cannot create a pull effect. You need to know what your clients want tomorrow. And then you need to talk about that. And that's where the clients will come to you before you going to them first, because they are already doing the research on how to find them out. So yeah, I think that's the 4 points that I would stick to.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like it all. Just to recap for all our students, number one is to start creating use cases, start creating stories around how life was good before, but how can you make that life better for all your customers, for all your clients. The second thing is, the moment you start weaving a story, You start backing it up with numbers, start backing it up with ROI, about what kind of ROI will the customer benefit once your product is essentially sold to you. The third one is, remind me of the third one. The fourth one you told was about that. How can we start creating the future now? How can we start transporting?
That is the FOMO effect.
Yeah, the FOMO effect. The third one was about creating the brand, about how can you start investing in creating a brand so that after a lot of customers start realizing big companies or big users are using your product, they feel a fear of missing out, the feeling of missing out. And number four was that how can you start making sure that customers realize that you are the one who holds the beacon of the future, and they will start coming to you to actually understand that, what is the future holding for them and how you can help them transport to the future. This is great, Rajit. Thank you. Thank you so much for all this knowledge, all this wisdom, and of course, sharing your story with Data Sutram. This case study is going to be released in 2021, but I'm sure that we'll have to do another case in 2025 where we talk about how can we build $100 million in ARR.
Thanks a lot.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay.